Cool, and yet again another quick update on some of the rules that have been released today around Wazdakka. So just going to go through those, what it might mean, and anything else that's kind of come up as a result. So here we have first part of the data sheet. So he is obviously a mounted unit in terms of keywords, also has vehicle, which is strange to have both. So does mean he can tank shock. Well, currently, whether it kind of exists, does have smoke as well as a keyword, so can at least get a little bit of a kind of defensive buff in terms of that. Obviously for the future, being vehicle, I don't know whether that's going to be positive or negative into 11th edition, but as it kind of currently stands, it doesn't really make a difference other than a lot more weapons having kind of auto-wounding capabilities, dev wounds, things like that. Vastor, for example, anti-vehicle 4-up, means he could go down pretty quickly against certain things. You've got Thunderkin as well, so his durability might be a bit skewed. To help with that, under abilities, we've got the fact that he is lone op, has deep strike, and then deadly demise D3. So he can kind of be dropped in pretty safe on an objective, much like a lot of different characters that can be used to kind of secure things like Primarchs like the Lion, get dropped into unsecured objectives, flip that primary by being outside of 12 so it can't be targeted. So quite interesting for that one. He has several ranged weapons, so he has top profile first, standard kind of thing for bikes really. He's pretty quick, movement 14, toughness 8, 3 up, 4 up, 10 wounds, leadership 6 and OC 3, so fairly standard kind of profile in that sense. Toughness is fairly good. It's a kind of weird break point. There's not a lot that toughness 8 helps with other than kind of strength 4 weapons as opposed to being T7, I guess, but a lot of kind of strength 9 weapons, mostly strength 8 weapons. They're outside of power fists, obviously winning on 4s, but a lot of shooting is going to be hurting him if it can get in range of the lone op. So combat means he's slightly more survivable against kind of power fists and kind of that sort of variant of weapon, but very susceptible to being attacked by Wolfen and kind of equivalent anti-vehicle kind of weapons. So his grab dragger has assault and precision. A lot of things seem to be getting precision. A lot of weapons seem to be getting precision at the moment, which is quite interesting. 12-inch range, so it's at least not, you know, insane range. He has to be within the low knock bubble to actually use it, but it is strength 10, AP 2 and damage 3, single attack, but hitting on 2s is fairly reliable, I guess. As it's assault as well, he can throw himself forward in the war, shoot both his guns, as that is also assault, and potentially chip damage off of a character. He also has sustained hits 1 on his Psycho Gatler, which has 12 attacks, hitting on a more standard Orc 4-up, strength 6, AP 2, damage 2. It's a slightly better variant of a Heavy Bolter, aside from not hitting as well as a Space Marine 1 and being slightly shorter range. But AP 2, damage 2 with assault, running forward, taking out maybe a screen on the way in, because you know you're hitting half the time, so you're hitting about 8 times on average, wounding T5 or less about 6 times, 3 up save if they're in cover, killing about 3 to 4 2 wound models, which isn't bad for kind of weakening up something, especially when you look at leader ability in a second. And then we have the melee abilities. He has extra attack, which is great. He has 2 of his are extra attacks, which gives him a lot of kind of general attacks, but his wrench, which I'm guessing maybe held by a grot or something, not sure, is 1 attack, hitting on a 4, so slightly less viable, only strength 3 and 1 damage, so it's a bit of a strange one. I'm assuming the grot's called Fix It. I don't know enough about the character to kind of comment. We then have the Grabber Dragger, which has Lance, so is really quite powerful when you look at the fact that 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 10, AP 2, damage 3 is a really solid profile that Orcs kind of lack. in general of having half decent AP, hitting on 2s and being flat 3 damage, so can go in and do serious damage to a lot of things, as wounding outside of -1, wounding the game on 4s minimum, and a lot of the game on 2s. Even things such as Victrix Guard, because he's winning them on 2s, and with the Lance on the charge, still winning on 2s through their -1. And then he has the Speeding Bulk and Flaming Exhaust, another set of kind of minor attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 5, AP 1, damage 1, 12 attacks, with 6 of them being pretty powerful, quite good. Then we have his kind of other abilities, the Fix-It de Grot. He regens wounds, so he's basically a Catan, getting D3 lost wounds back each turn, so with the Lone Op on top, if he can get out of range repeatedly, if there's any kind of fallback shenanigans, he's quite annoying to kill potentially, outside of hitting him with a lot of anti-vehicle. In the command phase, he's got pseudo Primarch abilities again. You get to select one of them, and until the next turn he has that ability, so we'll have a look at those now. And yeah, so his Throttle Rocket Shocker Engine, it allows him to declare a charge in a turn in which he advanced or fell back. Oh look, there we go, so he's always got advance and charge, which is amazing, and then can always fall back and charge but not shoot, so one downside I guess, but he can only have one of these abilities. So in your command phase, if this unit is not within engagement range, you can put it into reserves. Excellent, that's an amazing ability for something with Lone Op to have. It doesn't have to be anywhere particular either, so you get to pick this, put him up into the sky, see your cards and bring him back down. If he's badly positioned on the table, or has kind of had a has to pivot because the kind of opponent has shifted where they're going and the flank is kind of pointless having him on, he can reposition. It's effectively the same as Lionel Johnson's ability, which is really strong. It's 2 very good abilities so far. Third one, Pulse Jet. Each time he advances, don't roll for the dice, just move 6, so auto advance 6 and move through models and terrain. So he can go in the WAR, go 20 inches and charge, which is very good with his profile. And then the next command phase, assuming he's still alive, because you've charged something that's far enough away from the enemy, you just pick him up and redeploy him. Yeah, that's pretty good. Or can, after the WAR, then advance and charge. So gives you the opportunity to just throw him forward, attack a flank or opponent's kind of infiltrators, which even things like the Corsair Raiders, who are 3 wounds each, which is pretty durable for an infiltrating unit on the whole. He can probably go and kill that, be relatively hidden from the opponent, and then get picked up. Finally, he then also, if he is your Warlord, which means you can't use this ability alongside Gaz, because he is Supreme Commander, I believe, he can then have Battle Line on the Warbikes, so you can take 36 Warbikes. So that is a lot of Warbikes, and I assume there's going to be several things that he does to improve them, much like you've had Huron's Marauders and things like that. The detachments are based around kind of these characters, always kind of make their unit of choice much better. So much like Huron's Marauders, all the infantry, I assume we're going to see quite a lot of improvements to bikes. Overall, I think it's a really solid data sheet, and is kind of gives something that Orcs haven't really had, in terms of being able to reposition, high level of damage, and is a lot of tricks on a stick. I would be surprised, unless he's massively overcosted, that he won't see a lot of play. I would probably expect him, although who knows anymore, somewhere between 160 and 200 maybe, as a kind of a rough points cost, but we shall see. And then finally they kind of said about the fact that he can't, run around on his own. He really can, but he allows you to join up with some battle line warbikers in his Speed War detachment, that allows you to do the 36 warbikers, And then they kind of mentioned that the new Speedwar detachment, which will be coming soon, so I assume they're going to announce Yarrick and the rest probably maybe this weekend or next, so by the end of April, likely to be either up for pre-order or be kind of early May will be released. Then you can, with that new detachment, all your bikes and buggies, which, remember 9th edition, there was a lot of problems with buggies, you can make them move 24 inches. Which is very solid. They basically become warp spiders. However, they have to do it in a straight line, so positioning is going to be tricky because they're going to have to be fairly out in the open, or there needs to be a strat that lets them move through models and units, which Wazdakka does for himself. I think it's a really solid data sheet. Will it be interesting for them to make the bikers and everything else kind of effective, because they haven't been amazing this edition, so might breathe a little bit of life into orcs who have kind of gravitated back to using the Warhorde as the kind of most stable build, as all the other detachments keep getting nerfed when they get them. But yeah, be interested to know your thoughts, and look forward to seeing some more rules and hopefully some information around these new detachments so we can kind of assess how effective they are going to be on the